Hello all, I'm Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. In this vlog, I am going to be attempting to make a little bit of a dent in my Libby holds list. And the way that I have done this is that I set all of the books that I have been pushing back for months to become available to me on September 15th, which was the start of this week. And then my goal was to read whichever books came in first. So typically I can read about 3 books a week. Because these are all going to be audio, I had to kind of factor in the length of the books as well. So what I did is I waited until I got the alerts that said a book had become available to me on Libby. So the 3 books you are going to be seeing me read in this vlog are Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man by Jesse Q. Sutanto, which came out on April 1st. The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones, which came out on March 18th. And King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby, which came out on June 10th. Those were the 3 that came to me the quickest. I also got several more right after that, but those were the 3 that came first, so those are the 3 that I'm going to be reading in this vlog. I'm going to go ahead and share a look at what my Libby holds look like right now. So as you take a look at this list, you will see that there are 5 books that I have been pushing back. So I have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, which did just come out, Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher, and A Land So Wide by Aaron A. Craig, which also just came out. So I'm not too worried about Catabasis and A Land So Wide because those are newer, but I have had, for instance, The Night and the Moth on hold since February. Now it released in May, but it came to me right away and I immediately pushed it back. So that's kind of my issue with Libby. I love Libby. I use Libby a lot. Most of the audiobooks that I listen to are through Libby, but because they don't always fit into my reading plans or they come to me in a time when I don't have time to read them, I wind up pushing them back. So we're gonna tackle 3 of those books in this vlog. I will be starting with Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man, which is the sequel to Vera Wong's Advice for Murderers, I believe was the name, which I read last year, I think, and gave 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Vera is a hilarious character, so I'm looking forward to hearing about her antics and seeing what this sequel has in store for me. So that will be the first book you're going to hear about in this vlog, so let's get listening. So I'm currently 66% of the way through Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man, so I will go ahead and show you where I'm at. There you go. I am listening to this on 1.8. That's kind of my sweet spot with audiobooks, depending on the narration style, but that tends to be right about where I sit. I am currently in the middle of chapter 19. So let's talk about the first book. So in the first book, which I read last year, and I believe I vlogged, if I did, I'll link it up above. But in the first book, we meet Vera. Vera finds a dead man in her tea shop in Chinatown in San Francisco, and she decides to set about solving this man's murder. So the police initially think that this was just an accident, like a drug overdose, that type of thing. Vera is convinced that there is more going on here, so she sets out to solve this mystery. In doing so, she meets all of these different people who are connected to the dead man, and she is trying to figure out which one of them is actually responsible for this man's death. In doing so, she creates her own little found family, which was really wonderful to read about. I loved Vera. She has a hilarious sense of humor. She gets into a lot of mischief because she is very nosy and wants to know what's going on. And I just really love her as a character. I gave that book 5 stars. I adored it. So obviously I have been looking forward to the sequel. and I've just had to keep pushing it back because it didn't fit in my reading plans, which is why I decided to go ahead and do this vlog, because some of these books I just need to go ahead and read, even if they don't fit like TBRs and things like that. They're books that I've wanted to read, and this is the time that I'm hopefully going to be able to get through a few of them. So in this book, Vera stumbles upon a man's death because she is nosy and she is going through Selena's briefcase. Selena is a police officer, a police detective that we meet in the first book. And because she has become part of Vera's family, Vera is at her house to cat sit and finds this case file. So that puts Vera on the path of her next mystery. So once again, she has gathered in a bunch of different people who may or may not be responsible for this man's death, and she is trying to sort out who did it. So very similar vibes to the first one. We have another set of people who are kind of lost, and Vera has kind of taken them in and gathered them under her wing and become an important figure to all of them already, which I love. We also have the introduction of some like internet fame because somebody films Vera making tea and her videos go viral on the TikTok, as she refers to it. And that starts bringing a little bit of unwanted attention to Vera because somebody now knows that she is looking into this man's death, because she is doing like narration styles where she's talking about it in these videos. So that's kind of the setup of this one. I'm really enjoying it. There have been some hilarious moments, courtesy of Vera once again. She pretends that she doesn't have like a great grasp on English sometimes, and so she'll use like certain words that aren't appropriate when honestly, it makes you wonder if she really does know what she's doing and she's doing it just to be funny, because that definitely could be part of her personality. But I'm really enjoying this. I have heard that this one takes a little bit of a darker turn. You're kind of already getting some vibes of that, like early on in the book with one of the characters. Her name is Millie. And there is definitely something funky going on with like a scam type thing. So that's where I am. I'm loving it so far. I wouldn't say that it's hit me emotionally just yet the way that the first one did, but I would not be surprised if that does happen. Vera continues to be one of my favorite characters. She is just absolutely hilarious. So I'm looking forward to seeing how her story is going to finish up. I am planning on finishing this book today, so hopefully I will be able to come back and chat with you and give you full thoughts and a final rating. But so far so good. I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm really glad that I'm finally giving it a read. So I will chat with you once again once I have finished the book and give you my final thoughts. Hello all, I have finished Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man, and I found it just as enjoyable as the first book, and I gave it 5 stars. Vera is laugh out loud funny. She is exactly what you would expect her to be based on the first book. And I really enjoyed the found family that she brings together in this book and how well they kind of seamlessly fit in with the found family from the first book. So I really, really enjoyed this. I will say there is darker subject matter in probably the last third of the book, dealing with one of the characters and what exactly is going on. So keep that in mind. I believe you can find like trigger warnings for this book on the author's website if you need to look that up. But I really, really loved this book. 5 stars. And it sounds like there's going to be a third book, which potentially has Vera and Winifred, who is the woman who owns the Chinese bakery next door, possibly traveling to Paris, which could be interesting, but obviously I don't know that that'll be the setup for the third book, but it definitely has left the door open for a third book. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else she might write in Vera's universe, because I do really love her as a character and would highly recommend this series. So that completes one book. I flew through that one in probably 6 hours, I think, and really, really loved it. So would highly recommend. The audiobooks are extremely well narrated. Eunice Wong is the narrator, and she is phenomenal. So great time with that one, 5 stars. So now I'm going to turn my attention to The Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. So I'm going to go ahead and read you a quick synopsis, and then we will get listening. So it says, This chilling historical novel is set in the nascent days of the state of Montana, following a Blackfeet Indian named Goodstab as he haunts the fields of the Blackfeet Nation looking for justice. It begins when a diary written in 1912 by a Lutheran pastor is discovered within a wall in 2012. What is unveiled is a slow massacre, a nearly forgotten chain of events that goes back to 217 Blackfeet dead in the snow, told in the transcribed interviews with Goodstab, who shares the narrative of his peculiar and unnaturally long life over a series of confessional visits. This is an American Indian revenge story captured in the vivid voices of the time by one of the new masters of literary horror, Stephen Graham Jones. So that's kind of your setup for this, and I have started it. So I am at like 12%, so I'm not super far in. This is a pretty lengthy book. I believe the runtime for the audiobook is almost 14 hours. So I'm hoping that I can get 50% of it read today and keep on my goal to finish these 3 books within, 6 days or so. So I will let you know where I'm at the halfway point. But again, 13% is where I am right now. Again, I'm listening on 1.8, which is a good speed for these narrators. There are more than one narrator in this book, and I will let you know what my thoughts are at the halfway point, so I will see you then. I am over halfway through the Buffalo Hunter at this point. I think I'm at 64%. I got to about 46% last night before I went to bed, and then I've been listening to it kind of throughout the morning and afternoon today while I was running some errands and things. This is going to be the 4th book by Stephen Graham Jones that I have read. So I loved I Was a Teenage Slasher. I gave that one 5 stars. I read that one last year. I also read The Only Good Indians last year, which I felt was just okay. I think I gave it 3 stars. And then I also read My Heart is a Chainsaw, and that one I didn't really enjoy that much, although I do want to read the rest of the series because it ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. He writes in a very specific way. It's kind of stream of consciousness. It is sometimes very difficult to follow. I find that the audiobooks for his books go better for me personally than trying to read them physically. But I do think that in the case of the Buffalo Hunter that I actually think doing a dual audio and physical read would work the best. However, I was not able to get a physical copy of this book because it had a massive holds list on it, and I knew I was not going to be able to get it before I needed to film this vlog. So I'm just having to rely on the audio. One of the things that I'm finding a little confusing about this book is that the Indigenous character that we are following uses a lot of terms that are unfamiliar to me. So terms like black horns or 4-legged or 2 legs or runs fast, and it's referring to animals and people, but because I don't have the background, which you're not meant to because he is telling this story in his own words, it is confusing for me listening on audio to really keep track of what's going on. So I'm finding a little bit of what's happening a little confusing. On top of that, I think one of the other issues is just the kind of rambling stream of consciousness narration and writing is hard to follow on audio sometimes. So because of that, I'm a little confused about what's happening. Now, at about the 50% mark, there was a little bit of a twist. I don't really want to call it a twist. I guess a reveal would be a better word. So you kind of get a little bit more understanding of what's happening kind of at that midway point. And at the point that I'm at now, you understand why the 2 main characters are the characters of the story. So there are actually 3 main characters. We have a historian who is related to character number 2. Character number 2 is a Lutheran pastor in the early 1900s in Montana. And the first character that we meet is his like great-great-granddaughter or something like that. She has found this journal that the pastor was keeping, and she is going through it and trying to delve into what happened. The pastor is talking about the 3rd character, which is the Indigenous man who is telling his story about what happened to him, and there's a little bit of like magical realism involved in that in terms of like some vampire-ish elements. So that's kind of your 3 POV. The female point of view has not popped in a while. It's mostly just been the pastor and the indigenous man, who I believe is called One Stab. I think that's what his name is. But anyway, I'm just finding it a little confusing. So I'm going to keep plodding along and making my way through this. I am hoping to finish this today. It's already 4:20 and I am at 64%. So that's kind of just my initial thoughts. It's fine, but I do find it a little confusing. So we'll see how that goes. On another note, I did a little bit of shopping, so I figured I'd go ahead and do like a tiny little haul. It's not anything spectacular, but let me go ahead and share where I went and what I picked up. So first I did go to Ulta and I picked up a few things. So I got a new like makeup sponge. This is just the one from Real Techniques. And then I picked up another brow powder. I used the ABH Brow Powder Duo in Ash Brown. So I picked that up because mine is almost gone. I picked up a new hair gel, which I'm gonna try. This is a different brand. This is from Rizzo's Curls. I don't know if anyone's ever used that brand before. I've seen them around. This one's the Stronghold. I was using one from Weedad, but it's pretty expensive and they didn't have the smaller container, so I just found something else to use instead. From that same brand, I also picked up the hair wax stick, which looks like this. It's to help tame like frizz and flyaways and things like that, which I have a lot of. It comes in a little tube like this. So I'm looking forward to giving this a try and seeing what I think about it. And then I picked up a couple of makeup things. So the first one was a new concealer. I've never used this one, but it's the IRL Filter Finish Soft Matte Concealer from Revolution. So it looks like this. So it's in the shade C3. I did swatch it on my hand. Thankfully they have testers and this looks like a shade that's gonna work for me. I ran out of my lighter shade concealer like a couple days ago, so I thought this one might be a decent replacement. We will find out. And then the last thing I picked up was from Urban Decay. This is their all-nighter matte finish setting spray, and this is like a little mini. I'm not sure if I'll like this. I haven't had the best of luck with setting sprays from Urban Decay, but it does look like this, so we'll give it a go and see what I think. Then I went by Bath & Body Works because I needed to pick up a hand soap refill, so I decided to go with the Whipped Honey and Vanilla scent. We'll see. I also picked up a single soap of their Sweater Weather scent because I really, really love this scent. So it's right here. And then I picked up another little air freshener thing for my car. I went with the Mahogany Coconut one. So there you go. That's my little haul. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to reading, hopefully finish the Buffalo Hunter Hunter today, and I will probably share my thoughts with you tomorrow, and also hopefully start my final book for this vlog then as well. So I will see you then with an update. Good morning all. I did finish listening to the Buffalo Hunter Hunter last night, and I'm going to give it 3 stars. My comments from earlier kind of still stand. Ultimately, the book does reveal what is going on and how everything is connected, but I still wouldn't say that I loved the reading experience or the story itself. It's an interesting concept, but I think that there was just something missing for me personally with the narrative. So that's kind of where I'm at. I will say that the indigenous character does start using more of the terms that we're familiar with as he becomes more, how can I put this? As he becomes more of a fixture in like white America, I guess. So the terms that he's using are the ones that we're more familiar with, so that confusion goes away. But I still think that there was just something missing with this story for me personally, something that didn't quite work for me, so that's why I'm giving it 3 stars. That was probably a very stumbly way of talking about this book. It's kind of just hard to talk about. Stephen Graham Jones is an author that I've just come to expect is going to be very hit or miss for me, and this one was a bit of a miss, and that's okay. So That one is done. It took 9 hours for the audiobook. That was a long one. And I am now turning my attention to King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. I have read his 2 most recent releases and really enjoyed them. I think I gave both Razorblade Tears and whichever one came out, was it last year? Here's the cover. I cannot remember what it's called. I'm pretty sure I gave both of those 5 stars. I then read Blacktop Wasteland and didn't like that one as much. And I do still have like his first release to read, but I haven't gotten to that one yet. This is his newest release. It came out in June. I'm gonna go ahead and give you like the synopsis from Goodreads. So this one says, Roman Carruthers left the smoke and fire of his family's crematory business behind in his hometown of Jefferson Run, Virginia. He is enjoying a life of shallow excess as a financial advisor in Atlanta until he gets a call from his sister Nevaeh telling him their father is in a coma after a hit-and-run accident. When Roman goes home, he learns the accident may not be what it seems. His brother Dante is deeply in debt to dangerous, ruthless criminals, and Roman is willing to do anything to protect his family. Anything. A financial whiz with a head for numbers and a talent for making his clients rich, Roman must use all his skills to try to save his family while dealing with a shadow that has haunted them all for 20 years. The disappearance of their mother when Roman and his siblings were teenagers. It's a mystery that Nevaeh, who has sacrificed so much of her life to hold her family together, is determined to solve once and for all. As fate and chance and heartache ignite their lives, the Carruthers family must pull together to survive or see their lives turn to ash. Because, as their father counseled them from birth, nothing lasts forever, everything burns. And that's a reference to the fact that the family owns a crematorium, and there's a lot of references already in like the first 10% to fire and ashes and things like that. So that is the book that I am starting today, and hopefully we'll get halfway through today and then can finish up tomorrow. I am getting ready to head to work, so hopefully I can get a decent amount of this listened to while I am there. But again, I have had pretty good luck with S.A. Cosby, so I have high hopes for this one. Okay, it's called All the Sinners Bleed. You already saw the cover, but that was the other book. And I think, let me look, I think I gave this one, yep, I gave this one 5 stars as well. So Blacktop Wasteland, I gave like 3.5, and then I've given 5 stars to Razorblade Tears and All the Sinners Bleed. So we will see where King of Ashes comes out. The one that I still need to read is called My Darkest Prayer, and that was his first release in 2022. So anyway, there you go. That was an aside. So 3 stars for the Buffalo Hunter Hunter. Let's hope that King of Ashes goes a little bit better and we can end this vlog on a high note. So I will see you with my update when I get to that 50% mark. Morning all. I am actually like 71% of the way through King of Ashes as I have been listening to it this morning as I've gotten ready for work. I was at 56% yesterday evening, and this one is very dark. Puts me kind of in the same mindset as Razorblade Tears, so very dark content, so keep that in mind if you're going to read this. We have some like BDSM going on. It is consensual, but I want to mention that. We have a lot of brutal violence that is explicit on the page. We have like torture. There's a lot going on. So very similar to Razorblade Tears in that respect. I am enjoying this. So we are following 3 siblings. Each of them has a point of view. So we are hearing from all 3 of them. Roman is the oldest one. He would be the main narrator. Then we have Nevaeh, who is the sister, and then Dante, who is the youngest brother. All 3 of them have some things that they're trying to deal with in this book. Dante is an addict, so that is in the pages as well. So again, keep that in mind. Roman runs a like money management firm that uses some illegal business practices, which we get to hear about as the book goes through. Nevaeh is trying to figure out what happened to their mother. She disappeared when they were teenagers, and she is trying to solve this mystery. There are some hints as to what may have gone down regarding the mother. So that's starting to come out at this point in the book. And then we also have the overall plot, which is that Dante is in debt to these two brothers who run a local gang, and Roman is attempting to pay off that debt by using his money management, insider trading type schemes. And that's kind of where we are. So lots of violence, which I've come to expect from S.A. Cosby. That's what he writes. But I would say this one is almost even darker than any of the other ones that I've read. So just something I wanted to mention. I am enjoying this. I like the overall atmosphere and vibe. There is a sense of danger as the story is moving on because they are dealing with some very dangerous men. It is interesting to get to know Roman. Roman has a lot of knowledge about a lot of things, and that kind of comes out throughout the book. And I wouldn't say that I'm particularly liking any of the siblings, but I do like how he's created these characters. They're very well fleshed out and really come to life on the page, or in this case, the audio. It is the same audiobook narrator that I have listened to all of the previous books from. I cannot remember his name. I'll put it on the screen, but he does a great job of bringing S.A. Cosby's characters to life. The hold for this book did come in yesterday, so I did pick it up, so I can tell you that I am actually right in the middle of a chapter, and I am currently on page 238. So I have this much left. So this will get done probably today while I am at work, and I can give you full thoughts once I get home and close out this vlog. But so far I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't say that it's hitting me as hard as Razorblade Tears did. I still think that one is probably my favorite. But again, I did give the other one 5 stars as well. So we will see where this one falls. I am curious to see how everything is going to come together and be solved because we don't have very many pages left, and I still feel like they're mired in some pretty big problems. So we'll see what the last little bit of this holds, and hopefully I will come away with another 5-star, but time will tell. I will let you know my thoughts when I finish the book. Hello all, I did finish reading King of Ashes yesterday, and I'm going to give this 4 stars. I did not like it as much as Razorblade Tears or All the Sinners Bleed. Those 2 books had an emotional impact on me, and this one did not. I think it's because I didn't really connect to any of the POV characters, and this reminded me a lot of the character in Blacktop Wasteland, which he was like a morally gray character. That is very much what Roman is here. And because the majority of the book is from his POV, I just had a hard time connecting with him. I kept waiting for like that emotional punch that came in the other 2 books that I gave 5 stars, and it didn't happen. There was a moment here that I think could have been really impactful if it had been placed in a different part of the story, but we'd already been spoiled, so to speak, regarding what had happened. So the impact on Nevaeh was minimal, in my opinion. Obviously, she felt it deeply, but as a reader, I did not feel that same impact. I feel like had the explanation been placed after Nevaeh's realization, maybe then it would have worked a little bit better, but I didn't find that this hit me in the same way as the previous book. As I've already said, this has very dark content. It is brutally written. The violence is spelled out on the page. It pulls no punches, so it is very typical S.A. Cosby writing, but for me, it just was lacking that emotional connection that I am used to with his books, so I have to give this one 4 stars. So I think, thinking about the books, Razorblade Tears is still my favorite. I do want to mention there's like a little cameo from one of the characters in Razorblade Tears in this book, which I thought was really nice. Nice little nod to readers who have read all of his books. And it was also nice to kind of hear from him like later on down the line after the events of that book. So that was kind of nice. I like that he included that. I always love when authors do those little nods to their readers who read everything they've written. So love that. But yeah, this book was a little bit of a disappointment because it just was lacking that emotional impact that I was expecting from the previous 2 books. So that's okay. It's still a good book. I would still recommend if you like his books, his writing. This one is good. It's just not as good, in my opinion, as the other 2 that I've already mentioned. So that's going to conclude my Libby vlog. I managed to read 3 books from my Libby Holds list, and I'm hoping that in this next vlog that I'm getting ready to do, I will be able to get through a couple more, but we will have to see how that goes. So that's gonna be it for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. If you made it to the end of the video and would like to leave an emoji to show you were here, you can leave me a fire emoji in honor of King of Ashes. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.